Welcome to the DorkLair Collecting live stream. Today we got a very special Saturday episode with the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. Welcome Jason, welcome Adam, welcome Brick. How are you guys doing today?
Doing awesome today.
Doing great. How about you?
Doing good. I'm doing really good. I did the Biblical Adventures 1 o'clock drop and got my chocolate angels secured.
Love it.
And
Sweet.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, those are brilliant. As I was saying earlier, just such a clever thing to do for Easter.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's great.
So we got the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Spero Toys Kickstarter in full swing, like just crushing it in my opinion. How are you feeling so far, Jason?
I'm feeling great. There's always like a little bit of anxiety throughout the Kickstarter. But I feel like we're right on track. Everything's going, pretty much according to what we had projected. So, obviously that the piece de resistance is going to be General Mamba. So I have a feeling, my prediction is like we'll probably unlock Mamba sometime on the last day, which will be really exciting.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I'm expecting it to get unlocked on the last day, but we might have a little surprise and have it unlock earlier. Who knows?
Right.
It's funny because we've sort of had discussions. It's sort of like if nobody backed it, there would be anxiety. When lots of people back it, there's like anxiety of like, okay, can we keep up with the unlock goal? So like there's no scenario in which every day doesn't have anxiety when you got a Kickstarter going. But it's a ton of fun, and it's fun. It's fun interacting with people and sort of having people learn about the line and people be like, this is my favorite character. This is my new favorite character. So every time somebody sees some of the new stuff, it's sort of worth the chaos behind the scenes. So
yeah,
it's exciting, man. And in general, like we're putting together this whole thing of being able to move through different streams. Definitely, it's all about that Kickstarter, but it's such a great opportunity to let people really know like what Animal Warriors of the Kingdom's all about, because now it's like we've got this 1 year of really great toys. But now check out all these other crazy big plans that Jason has in store for this whole world. So that's what excites me the most about this Kickstarter.
Nice. Let's check in with the chat. We got Tony Horton, Kirby Smith, Jeff Evans, I believe, Jeff Hoven, Hedgehog Action, who is going to be live after this. So this is like a whole day of streaming.
Oh, cool.
After this one, you have the Saturday Day Live guys at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I believe at 9 p.m. is the Purple Gang going live as well. So a lot of people
love those guys
in the community going live. Hedgehog,
we hung out with them on this weekend.
Oh, we're at ToyCon New Jersey?
Yeah, the Purple Bang Gang. I can't say it. Purple Gang.
Gang Bang? The Purple Gang Bang.
I'm surprised they haven't used that already. Yeah.
Hey, I got my purple on today. My purple.
You do.
My purple.
Perfect.
So yeah, let's keep going here. Mark R, who I did a member stream earlier today, and Mark won the two. Actually, do I have him over here? No, I don't. But he won the Selene and Helios Mythic Legions gold pins earlier today. Mark R, congrats again, dude.
Oh, congratulations, Mark.
Universal Ash. Trevor's here. 1-6 shooter says, "Hey dudes," and we got Thomas.
What's up, Trevor?
Let's see. Endless Fables. Hedgehog says, "You had me at Chameleon Guy." Kevin McCoy.
Oh.
J Mac. Tanya McCoy. Mythic Dolphin. Welcome everybody to the DorkLair live stream special event Saturday edition, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. And Thanos Copter.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for coming on. So where do we want to begin, guys?
It's our pleasure.
Should we pull up the page?
Start at the beginning.
We recently, Adam and Brick have been adding what we've unlocked already.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny, during Kickstarter, you think like everyone's following along every day, and that's not always the case. So,
Yeah.
You know, in an effort to kind of like have everyone informed, they went ahead and started adding all the graphics so people can see all the progress that we're making throughout the campaign so far. And it's really exciting because, I mean, we're only, excuse me, we're about, you know, a little less than 5,000, a little more than 5,000 away from unlocking another character. So we've got the momentum going. And, you know, as we're doing these podcasts, we're kind of obviously going through all the figures that you can get in the Kickstarter and the weapon sets, but we're also kind of informing people of the savings that the customer or tribe members will get by backing the campaign. And then, you know, after the campaign's over, then we'll go ahead and revert to the actual retail prices. So it's just our additional thank you for, like, you know, believing in the project and backing it during the Kickstarter phase.
That's great. I like, as a customer, I like feeling that I'm getting a little, you know, it's kind of like with Legions, and you direct
Right.
pre-order and you get a little deal, you know, like by
Exactly.
ordering direct. It's kind of like the same thing. So this is the one you were just talking about, the Horrid Assassin. That'll be the next unlock.
Correct. Yeah.
Murder chimps.
Let's
What?
see if we can get there during the stream.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's get some another 5K during the stream. I'd be a happy camper.
Let's do it.
So I think the first thing that people will notice now, as of today, as you scroll down after that awesome video, by the way, but right here, this is new. We've sort of shared versions of this for the last couple, since it started. Yeah, some version of this has gone up, but this is a new one, which now includes all of the potentially unlocked bucks for this Kickstarter. So initially this Kickstarter was like, we're going crazy. We're going to give you 4 new body types to add to your shelf. And then it was like, just kidding. Let's make it 6+, right? And that's the goal. If we get all the way to Mamba, yeah, that's what we're talking. So Raving, the bird buck, essentially, the third one from the left, wasn't there in the past couple ones, and so they're all there. And since I know folks here are familiar with Legions, like that Mamba is approximately the size of an ogre scale, height wise. So, and clearly it's got some width on that the ogre scale figures in Legions, but so just to get some approximate sense of what's going on here. And like, I love the fact that Mythic Legions has that variety. You know, you've got your shortest little goblins to the trolls, and I'm so happy to see that happening here with AWOK as well.
People need to focus right here on Pale.
Yeah, that's right.
Focus on Pale, because that's what you know, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is your standard current buck that you know, if you have a figure, if you've seen a figure in hand, and now scale that up to Mamba, right? Like, massive.
That's right. I should have put a star over his face and said, "You are here."
Right.
And
all right. You know what? I feel like both the rhino and the elephant bucks, like we can hold Thane like this, but I feel like you're gonna have to hold it like two-handed. You know what I mean? Like the what's it? The Marvel Legends Mojo figure. You know how it's like just like really rounded, so like really barrel torso. So they're going to be really fun pieces to have on your shelves. I know I'm going to mix them with my Mythic Legions and Thundercats and He-Man and Ninja Turtles. I just like to mix and match and just put stuff that looks fun together on the shelves. So
so that's the new and exciting piece. And then the other piece is that, just to help clarify, based on some of the different things that people have said in chats and in the Kickstarter itself, in the comments, you'll see, like, trying to list out some of the features. So in the image there, you'll see bottom left, first of all, if you're familiar with Kickstarters, right at a certain point, you're going to choose your rewards and you have different options. So for this Kickstarter, you've got standard figures at $33 equivalent and deluxe figures. So instead of having you sort of keep track of like, wait, is this the lizard buck? Is that a standard fig? Like, it's just there. Look at this one. That's a $33 standard figure. And as you go down, you'll see those two. And then on the right, you'll see kind of the features. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I have the picture. Yeah.
No, but that works too. Yeah. So perfect. That on the right, you'll see there, those are the standard figures. Like if you're, you losing track, like, okay, these are the ones. And that becomes important later because you mentioned deals. We can talk about that later. And then here with Gresh, the other thing is like we keep saying on these streams, oh yeah, there's articulated eyes and there's all of that kind of thing.
Ears.
And I just
the chain plugs into his mouth.
Yeah, and I just realized I messed up, guys. This is funny. So he also has an articulated jaw that's not mentioned there. But yes,
it's mentioned in the text below, though. So
yeah,
you're covered there.
Yeah, except no one reads the text. But
we added that little blurb at the bottom there as well, just to sort of really sort of hammer down. Here's what you will get sort of with this figure. Now I will mention one more thing. It's a standard figure. The reward tier on the right side there says retail value $35. That was based on pricing before we even started the Kickstarter, and we forgot to change that. So retail figures will actually be $37 on the other end of the Kickstarter. So you're actually getting a little bit better deal than we even claimed you were. Shame on us, but
we can't update it once people back stuff. So, but no, it's good that we're like letting people know, especially people that are just kind of like bouncing in and out of the campaign and not necessarily following along as closely as other people.
And just to clarify, like, right, so this is awkward because I'm like, some retailers are carrying it. I'll just put it this way. But some retailers currently that are helping to pre-order and helping with this, it's actually $37.99. So just to bounce off what you guys are saying, we said 37.
Yeah, I keep saying 37. It's $37.99. Yeah.
So I just
so
$5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a that's a good amount of money. That's a good amount of savings right there.
That's the beginning of the deals with going with the Kickstarter for individual figures for sure, and we'll get to the rest later. But
I like this touch right here that you're retaining like when and how long it took to unlock. Like that's a nice.
That was such a great idea. That was Brick's idea. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh yeah, it's funny. There's just certain things you just don't think about in the chaos of the campaign, and he pointed that out, and I was like, dude, that's such a great idea.
Yeah, just the narrative of like how this thing has moved, and just it's also helpful like with Geek Dad Life and Brian Brink keeping charts, and there's also like Kickstarter specific tracking. Like it's to also build excitement. Like look at we've been doing this, folks have been backing, and thank you, and we're moving, and that's the idea.
So this was this was unlocked, I think. Or no, you know what? This was unlocked, but it hadn't been shown yet last time I did my live stream.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing these heads now, the alternate heads. And these come with the figures, right? Yeah. So these are right. Yeah.
Yes, they're going to be packed in.
Yeah.
And initially
so
the idea was
a little bit different from last campaign.
Yeah, initially the idea was that we were going to do it the same way that the first Kickstarter had been run, where the heads would unlock as like a separate head pack. You'd get 3 heads for $12 or whatever it was going to be. But what we realized is if you want the alternate heads, you're probably going to end up with multiple figures anyway. Right. So we'll pack the head in with the figure, and then you can still army build by buying multiple figures. If you want, but if you only want one of the heads, you've got the spare for whatever, you could customize it or use it for something else. But in the end, the actual sort of numbers of like, designing and printing the plastic inserts in the box and all that kind of stuff, and then selling them for $12 versus just packing them in with the figures. Economically, it actually didn't really make sense for us to do it that way. So we just said, well, let's just add more value to the figures. And with any luck, it'll sell a few more figures, and it'll kind of, it'll be net zero kind of thing. So that was the idea there. Just value add. I mean, it just put more stuff in the box, extra hands, extra heads. more accessories, all that kind of stuff is just what we want to do.
A line like this that is like 100% about playing with the toys.
Yeah.
Right.
Manipulating
Exactly.
them, swapping parts, mixing and matching, like that is something that's really key, is like having the extra heads to, just play around with. Do we want to pull up? Let's see. So Mythic Dolphin says, the best deal is the Epic All-In. It gets you one of everything and can potentially save you $290 to $400. Elephant is $89, Rhino is $59, Hippo is $59, Birds are $35, Brawlers are $48 each.
Yeah, and
Thank
Mythic,
you, Tiffany.
Tiffany's been following clearly, and has been backing big time with those Epic All-Ins, plural.
Wow.
So
awesome.
They're fully familiar with the breakdown, and as kind of teased in there, we kind of glossed over in the scaling image, and that there was a Rhino in there, a whole new buck that isn't even currently, other than that little tease, reflected in the actual Kickstarter campaign. So, you've already listed out the prices. Tiffany's absolutely right. It gives you a sense of like how much these things are. And as you're sort of doing those numbers in your head and you're thinking about your options, you already mentioned $5 difference between the retail and that for an individual figure. But if you're looking at that Epic All-In on the screen right there, really what that is you get everything that came in the original offerings. And then as we move through, depending on how well we all do in backing this thing and reaching those goals, if we zoom past through all the unlocks, all of that is part of your Epic All-In. And that, so you see there the retail value up to $9.91, as Adam pointed out, that was all locked in before. So that actually isn't truly reflective of the value. It's a higher number than that.
Yeah, I haven't done the math again because I just don't want to. I have other random things. I was like, it's good enough.
So Bill, I'll do the teacherly.
You'll save a bunch. You'll save a whole bunch of money if you go Epic All-In. And somebody was asking about, what should they get to get everything? The Epic All-In gets you one of everything. That's the tier for. Yeah.
That's great. That's the homework class.
87 backers. Not bad.
Yeah. For a long time, there was more Epic All-In backers than there were single figure backers. And that doesn't even account for people that backed an Epic All-In and then in the add-ons backed a second Epic All-In. So
right. Yeah. That's the thing about what you're seeing here. If you're on the customer end and you're just looking at these, you're not seeing all of the add-ons. So like these figures say, hey, this is 33, a $33 add-on that once you back it with your pledge, then you can add a bunch of stuff on it. There's a lot of that'll happen.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's and then you're looking at those alternate heads right now, and there was a question earlier, and just to help make it clear, it says each reptilian comes with 3 heads. It's actually just 2 heads. So what you're seeing on this picture right now is just showing the same alternate head, like that snake at front view and 3/4. Yeah, and so the bottom is just to sort of show you the army building potential. I'm trying to show
all that
as
Mark's saying it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not intending to confuse you, but we wouldn't be very good plastic pushers if we weren't encouraging you to get 2 more bodies or whatever it is. And every time you do, because they're packing in,
working too hard because to get all the toys.
Because we're packing in all those. Each figure now comes with the alternate head. You'll have what you need. You can display them together, side by side. And troops are weird. 2 people, that's a 2 partners, that's fine. But troops, 3 plus, that's proper.
3s and 5s is what I think of when I think of like troop builders. That's just me personally.
You can do like arrow shapes with that.
A pair could be like some bounty hunters or something.
Some wingmen.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, it's very clear. Like that's 2 heads. You know, like when you look at
Yeah,
the actual
right.
individual listing, yeah. What else? Let's should we keep scrolling, or what do we want to talk about here?
Yeah, I mean, you keep scrolling through, you'll see, like, as we pointed out, it's Grimes unlocked. You'll notice that, like, yeah, we still got to make sure we have the images ready. We'll be updating them as we go through, but like this Grimes was unlocked, and it'll say, you know, extra hands and extra heads. Oh, I wonder if maybe Cup heard 3 hands, because essentially you'll be coming with 3 sets.
Yeah,
of
that's
hands.
probably what it was.
Yeah, and that's
I'm working on
standard. The standard for
I'm working
AWOK,
on
actually.
hands.
They've always
it
sort of
is,
come
yes.
with those. Anyway,
Right.
but
Let's see
I
here.
think the maybe newer thing would be for people would be some of the birds that I know not
Mhm.
everybody has caught. The women are amazing. Those are great.
Okay, here's the
But they're
bird section. Here we go.
Yeah.
birds. Put a bird on it.
Birdie.
So, yeah, that's raving. This actually, right at this point, was if you were there when the Kickstarter kicked off, this was the highest teased tier, and it was in
Right.
shadows.
Yep.
So, raving is visually there. Is there anything y'all wanted to say about raving or birds in general?
He will have soft goods. That'll be our first figure that's going to have soft goods. He'll have a soft goods cloak. He comes with the different hands, and Dan is sculpting like gripping claw feet. So that'll be a first as well. So
Nice.
we'll be having some gripping claw feet, which I think
That's
will
sweet.
add a lot to the play.
Just
play
for
factor.
Thanos Copter, who's been demanding gripping feet since day
Right.
one.
Right.
We're doing
Finally.
gripping feet, starting with the birds.
Yeah.
Hey
They will
Jason, in previous streams you've talked about your thoughts on soft goods. You want to share here? Because I think this audience would enjoy hearing your thoughts on what you're thinking for soft goods.
So we like to. I personally like to use soft goods sparingly. Obviously, since this is our first character using it, but you know, we kind of want to just hold back soft goods to where we think it's absolutely necessary. So, you know, whenever we eventually do like a Larange figure, so much of him is wearing this long tunic. He'll most likely have a soft goods tunic. But, you know, the characters are obviously stylized, and we want them to look like they've kind of jumped off the page of the comic book. So, you know, my thought process is just using it sparingly, but it'll make it feel special when they are incorporated into the figures.
Mm-hmm. Are you still thinking about who you'd be working with on soft goods?
We're going to be using Eric Harkin. I can't say it.
Harker.
Thank you.
Nice.
I was trying to say palpable last night. I couldn't say it. I was like, oh my god.
Palpatine. Say it.
Palpatine.
No.
Go for
Palpatine. I'm excited by that. I'm a fan of solid soft goods, and I'm excited to see Harker's work on AWOK. It's fantastic.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a real honor. It's going to be really cool. I guess the intent is we're going to try to do the wiring. I don't see why it would be an issue, but you know, that's the intent right now, is to have a wired poncho for him. That way you can kind of get those dynamic looks that Harker's known for.
Yeah.
What about those stars real quick, or the knives? How are those going to work? I've actually been meaning to ask you. So
the little throwing knives.
Yeah.
They'll probably be adjusted to where they'll fit the C grip hand. So, you know, we'll probably demo and show how to properly have the figure hold the hands. I know, you know, like the ninja stars and stuff from the NECA Last Ronin figure, you know, it comes with ninja stars, but you don't really know how to place it. I still don't. I just kind of put it in my little parts bin because I wasn't sure how to make him hold it. And that's obviously our intention, is to want to, you know, we want to have all the accessories be easily handled by each character that is included, you know, that comes with the accessories should be able to be, you know, fit nice and well with each character that they're included with.
I love that sword too.
It's fun, right? Just a nice stylized katana.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna fit on his back.
To answer Endless Fable's question, there, gripping feet will hold weapons. Correct. We sort of that was sort of the delay. Is like everybody wanted gripping feet, but the question was like to grip what?
Right. Like,
and
what?
they will grip. They'll basically have the same C grip shape as the hands for gripping.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you could heat them up, stretch them out, and have it gripping the neck of its enemy with its
exactly.
lower, talon.
I want to see that.
Oh man,
that kind of stuff. That sounds cool, right?
So the alternate hand
right.
that comes with Mythic Legions is actually perfect for like, or not Mythic Legions. The alternate hand that comes with these AWOK figures is already like the perfect size to grab the AWOK throats and arms.
Yeah.
So
for the first wave of characters.
Yeah, for the first wave stuff. So the extra hands that we've typically been doing are bigger, but they're still sort of a gripping shape.
Yeah.
I have one here, but he's holding a beer can. I don't know. Is it late enough in the day that we can show that?
I'm actually drinking
Oh, he's got this is my casual weekend pail. And he's got a soda can. So that gripping hand is bigger than the standard gripping hand. So that's like that's one of those thick cans. That's not a standard can.
That's like a Foster's.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate.
Put another drink on the Barbie. That didn't make any sense.
Australian
Barbie.
So yeah, let's take a look at some of these other birds, because the next one was the one that got me really excited. I'm really into color, so seeing this character pop up, I just imagine him to kind of just pop on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's a bard. It's a cardinal bard, and it comes with a musical instrument, which is something that I love, but a musical instrument that transforms into a weapon. And
how cool is that? Isn't that fun?
So cool.
It is.
And I thought it'd be funny to include like a little wine flask.
Is it two separate pieces, or does that actually like fold out? That's two separate pieces, right?
It's gonna be. We're trying to engineer it to where it folds out.
Oh, cool.
We'll see what happens. The intent's for it to like actually transform.
If that, if you pull that
off. But sometimes I get ideas and the engineering's, challenging. It's one of those things where like the salesman's like, yeah, we'll do all of that, and then the sculptors are like, okay, we got to figure this out. We got to figure this out first. But we all have ideas on how to execute it. So we feel confident that we'll be able to do it. It's just a matter of, when it ever transfers over to the factory, how they feel about it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They might feel a particular kind of way about that thing, but what are you going to do?
So, what's the thoughts about the wings again, given that this guy shows arms this way and then Raving has wings on? Let's clarify.
Yeah. So they're all, all the birds are obviously going to include wings. Our intention is for the wings to work similar to the way the classic comic book Marvel Legends Falcon figure works, where you can kind of unplug the wings if you prefer having that look, or you can have the wings attached to the arm. And then we were actually thinking about having another option, the way the army builder bird villains work for the Power Rangers. That was another kind of, we were using that as a guide as well. So, Dan's still sculpting it right now, so we're gonna wait and see exactly how it comes out. And sorry, I'm rambling.
Is it potentially going to be like this wing piece around his forearm going to be essentially the same type of attachment as this?
There'll be like a little plug in the back, on the back of the forearm. There'll be like some sort of little plug, and whenever the wings aren't attached, then it'll be kind of covered up by the arm gauntlet. Gauntlets.
Yeah. Got it. Cool. The cardinal Bard is a fun and sometimes mischievous storyteller and lover of songs and adventure, but don't let his kind heart and easygoing demeanor fool you. He can be quite feisty and good in a fight.
Yeah, I love it. Ooh, what's this?
What do we got here?
Well, that
This
guy
is,
looks. He looks like a bad guy to me. I feel like he's a bad
yeah.
guy.
It's a vulture, right? It's a what do you call those birds? Eating carrion? There's a word
Carrion.
for them, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, unlockable at 320,000 for the campaign. It's scathing. I'm just, again, the birds are awesome to me because one, they're brand new. They're going to come with all sorts of cool new accessories. We already talked about the wings. Now you're talking about this hood that is not intended to be soft goods. Is that right, Jason?
Correct. We're gonna have that sculpted on. Oh, and not
Yeah.
sculpted on, but it'll be like a sculpt that can be removed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then the weapons, the accessories for this guy, like maybe like Vero Atlas and that first sort of set of figures is just super unique. Can you share story or any ideas about what's going on with his accessories?
I've been wanting to do a bone whip for quite a long time, and I didn't want to just like throw it in there just for no reason. So whenever I was coming up with the character idea, I thought, okay, this is the perfect like kind of use for that weird type of weapon. And then we feel like every necromancer needs a magical staff. So I gave Utoma let him off the reins to go ahead and design that staff. I think he knocked it out of the park. It looks really fun.
Yeah, I imagine him touching the tip of that, almost jade crystalline sort of
right
blade on the tip there to some dead thing and it coming to life, or
exactly. Yeah. Real nasty business.
320. So where are we at? We're at 214 now. And there's how many days left?
We have 18 days left.
18
17.
days left.
You're always seemingly like one day behind.
Oh,
but
well.
That's okay. We're at 215, 882. So we're just about at 216. And 220 unlocks the next unlock. So then we'd be 100K away from this guy.
Yep. Let's go. A vile wretch of a vulture.
It's fun to write those bios.
Let's read this one. Scathing, the Necromancer, a vile wretch of a vulture. This bird has an unholy fascination with the macabre. His fascination verges on obsession, leading to vile experiments in the creation of unnatural beings.
Oh, I love the tease. Gosh, wouldn't it be neat to see what those unnatural beings would be?
Yeah,
Cool
man.
Cool stuff. And then so there's another thing. It's just amazing to me, like none of this was there again. And
Right.
so that should be a signal to folks that like pay attention, check back often. And that's also the reason for us to go around and let people know because you might miss some stuff. So and I think that's also the big signal too. We mentioned earlier the Epic All-In. If you're like worried you might miss something, that's always an option if you can swing it. It's a lot of money for sure. But it's also if you went back later and try to get them all, that's a lot of money too. So
yeah, one of the things we were talking about at the convention is there were certain customers that would come like 2 and 3 times, and we were talking about us personally, whenever we go to a convention or see, toys that we've been hunting for, and we might see another toy that we kind of like, and, we're like, oh, I'll come back for that one next time. And then you wind up having to hunt it down over the next couple of, over a month, you're hunting it down. And then you wind up paying extra for shipping. So it's like, get what you can now, get all the ones that you have to have now. That way you're not like kicking yourself looking for it later and then paying those eBay prices and extra shipping on top of that.
We should mention too that because we've already started tooling, because this is like this second Kickstarter is to get into the news cycle, to get to have chats with people like you, Bill, and to sort of just get more eyes on Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. We've already started tooling those first $2 that will be the first to ship. Are already in process, so we're not sort of waiting for the end of the Kickstarter to get going. And the first wave of these Kickstarter figures, meaning the 3 reptiles and the 3 brawlers, are scheduled to arrive in 2024. So you're backing it and paying for it in March, and you should in less than a year start seeing some of these products show up at your door. So we're not talking about a Kickstarter where you're backing it now and then it's sort of like, well, 3 years from now, I'll see some of these figures show up. So we're looking at end of 2024 for the first $2, and then sort of spring 2025 for the second 2, and then depending on how much stuff gets unlocked, we're looking further down the line. But theoretically, you're looking at kind of backing your Animal Warriors of the Kingdom purchases for the rest of 2024 and potentially 2025. So you paid for it now. You don't have to worry about it. You'll have all that money free to get, the next Mythic Legions that drops, right, or the next, Savage Crucible or whatever the case may be,
Totally.
Back this one now and worry about those ones later.
There you go.
It's funny when this was starting, I'll address the other elephant in the room, where people were wondering, like, why is AWOK doing another Kickstarter? It's already launched. Right. Like, why are you going back? And so, a lot of that's out there in terms of, one, the built-in marketing possibilities. People are following a campaign, and there's sort of an exciting process that people can jump in on and talk about. But then, like, as we sort of established, the initial campaign was shooting for the stars with 4 new bucks to the line, for a line that has been in people's hands for 1 year. And then the clear reveal so far is that we're really looking at potentially 6 new bucks.
Yeah.
So there was that whole conversation, but even 7. I keep that's the thing. Well, because officially the rhinos just sort of teased, but yeah.
Yes, true. Right.
So I remember even hearing initially that, we're going to do a Kickstarter. I was also kind of humming and hawing and like, I wonder how that's going to resonate with folks. And then one of the big things that both Adam and I were saying to Jason is like, cool, but just make it really worth our time to jump in on this Kickstarter. And that's the thing. It's you've done that, right? That's what's happening. And as Adam has broken down the math, there's a lot of incentive to jump in on this Kickstarter at multiple levels. So just throwing that out there.
We really wanted to do something that was kind of like a spectacle, for the lack of a better word. Series 1 included 2 different body types, the pale buck and then the Thane buck. And so we, right out the gate, we essentially like doubled our ambition. And Hasbro does HasLab all the time whenever they're doing something that's like really like big and costly. And, Four Horsemen's done 2 Kickstarters and stuff. So it's a really great way to like get people excited and do brand awareness, advertising. It lets us figure out, which SKUs are like the most popular. Cause a lot of times, we think like, oh, hey, this SKU is going to be absolutely the most popular. And I don't know about y'all, but I didn't think the chameleon would be as popular as it is. So all those kind of like little numbers that aren't exciting for like customers, really help out the creators and the factory. It's just that kind of early data is so helpful for us to figure out like how to steer the ship and what kind of characters to focus on in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bring up Mythic Legions, and this, feels very much like that, where it was like almost mind-blowing, like how epic that second Kickstarter was.
Dude, it really was.
And like this feels like along the same lines, where once you kind of see it, you're like, okay, I think I get why this had to be a
Right.
Kickstarter, not just like
Right.
Wave
Yeah.
2 or whatever, you know.
Yeah, we could have like we kind of chatting with Jason about it when we were looking at the new bucks and sort of looking at future waves and sort of how to map that out. And it became really apparent that if we were to unlock these bucks just through sort of regular pre-orders on the website and through retailers and things like that, we'd probably get like $1 per year or $1 every 18 months kind of thing.
Right.
So really, this is just the quickest way for us to sort of fill up our toolbox effectively with new molds, new bucks, new parts, new weapons, new everything, which gives us the flexibility with future waves. Instead of having 2 monkeys and 2 cats in a future wave, we can have a gorilla, a bird, a female character, and an elephant. It just means that we would effectively have the potential to as figures or as characters come up in the comic book, you see it for the first time, and then the next wave gets announced, and you're like, he's right there in the next wave, instead of sort of having to wait to kind of potentially get there 3, 4, 5 years from now. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, as a fan, like as a toy collector and fan and stuff, I can remember whenever, like I'm trying to think of a good analogy, because what I was going to say shares like the same buck over and over again. But, like a lot of times I'd see characters that I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get those. And it's like 3 or 4 years of waiting to get the 3 or 4 characters that I really, really wanted. And like Adam said, this is a way to kind of consolidate it, get it all on the table, and it helps us lock it in with the factory. They know like what our schedule is going to be now, and they can kind of accommodate that and make sure that, they kind of move everything around on their schedule, because they've got other clients as well.
Right.
So it kind of helps us secure our spot and make sure that we don't give them any surprises.
Let me get Josh Brown's question here. Do you all see yourselves using Kickstarter for big bangs like this, or do you eventually want to move away to be able to cut out Kickstarter, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal is to do what Four Horsemen does, where they do, their online orders. One of the reasons why we're doing so many of these little podcasts is because we're essentially trying to do brand awareness and make sure that, even though we know the toys are awesome and that the comic's great, there's only so much you can do without like the brand awareness. We need to like introduce people to the line and get them excited in a way that, Four Horsemen and other big brands are.
Cool. That's funny. Thanos was like, I'm not doing any Kickstarters this year, and then AWOK now Epic all in at $650 or whatever it was.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, he was saying that, and I knew that we were doing a Kickstarter, and it was like it was a funny like, well, you might be interested in one.
Right.
Building out the animal kingdom. Thomas, what's up? Let's see. Toy Box of Doom says, love these birds. Didn't realize the Cardinal's mandolin was his bow. Sold.
Thank you. It's fun.
It's amazing
right?
It's amazing how there's all sorts of little things like that'll just catch people's attention.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
We're trying to really like infuse fun into each item.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's the way to go. Lore. Let's talk lore. The story is a huge draw to me. Really enjoyed the comics, and it was rad seeing issues at my local comic shop.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's huge. That's me and Adam
wild,
getting
right?
together. Good job, Jason, because me and Adam, like, that's what we vibe on. We do a show together called AWOK Talk, where we've just been breaking down the different comics issues, and the world that this guy has created and now Utama has drawn is so fascinating. Like, it's a comic, like, it's truly a great comic book. We've said this a couple different times. You know, you get your Masters of the
Thank you.
Universe. You're welcome. You get the Masters of the Universe mini comics, and you know, again, no hate. I'm a huge Motu fan, but clearly, like, they're tiny, short little snippets of stories meant to really like support your toy buying habit. This thing is like genuinely like a world that was built. That's how this whole thing started, was with this guy like had this idea for a world in mind and characters, and then with the Primal series, like it's just this awesome sci-fi story. Most people don't realize that there's like sci-fi in this world. There's magic and fantasy. You know, we're talking like potentially the future of humanity kind of stuff going on, and I'll leave that as the tease. But Thomas pointed out, yeah, like when this Kickstarter happened, what was it, March 8th or March 6th? I forget.
We launched on March 7th. I don't remember now.
I like that I was dancing around it. Well, either way, it was the same day that they, of course he does. He's the brains of the outfit. That was the same day that local comic book shops could, you know, that issue number 1 was re-released in shops and distributed through Diamond, because initially that was all direct through Spero. But so now we're going through issue number 1 dropped in March. Issue number 2 be a little bit of a delay. It'll come out in May, and then from there it'll be monthly through that first arc, and then we'll see the future from there. So it's a great story. If you haven't read it, I recommend you trying to hunt down at your local comic book shop. And if you go and they've never heard of it, just another great opportunity to say, hey, this is a cool thing that you should check out, you know?
And if you go and they say that it's sold out and they can't get it for you, have them reach out to Diamond and have them request it, because we can print more if there's enough demand, but we don't know if there's enough demand unless people are asking for it. So, but to echo what Brick was saying, like, I backed a couple of the first wave, the Primal series wave figures, just based on they were cool designs, and I like anthropomorphized animal action figures. And it wasn't until I read issue 1 that I was like, okay, I need all of the figures, and here's the laundry list of figures that I now want, sort of in addition to these ones, because the lore, as Brick said, like this isn't a toy comic book that's shoehorning characters in so that you'll buy an action figure. Jason's always been very, very clear that if you see the character in the comic book, there's a chance you'll get the action figure, but it's sort of comic book and lore first, and then the action figures kind of come out of that. And so that is just something that to me is very, very appealing. And it's got that 80s vibe of, you know, having the media that sort of goes along with it. You know, of you know, being able to read the adventures and then sort of play with the toys and sort of reenact the adventures is just something that's really, really cool. And to that point too,
we're almost at 216. Sorry.
To that point too,
let's go, people. 220 was our goal,
Do
right?
this.
Let's do it. Come on.
To that point too, anybody that hasn't had these in hand, I mean, these figures they feel great in hand, and they're really, really solid figures. These are figures that I have 3 kids who are 8, 4, and 2 years old, and I have no problem letting my kids take these toys out and play with them. Yeah. You know, they're allowed to leave the office. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of toys that aren't allowed to leave the office. They can't play with them unsupervised, but mythically, I keep doing that because I keep looking at Bill and thinking I'm talking about Mythic.
Yeah, totally.
But the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figures, I have no hesitation, because I'll give them the figures. Maybe not the tiny accessories, but they get the figures, and I'll go collect them in the kitchen and in the living room, and like find them under a couch or whatever, and they're still in like perfect condition. So it's fun to have a toy line that's a new IP that has toys that are actually like, you know, something that kids can play with. And then when I showed my kids, you know, all the new animals and stuff, they all started picking their favorites, and they said, "Oh, I want this one. I want this one." My wife was like, "I need Jadu," and I was like, "Wait, what?" She doesn't collect toys, but she needs a Jadu. So I think
she needs one too. I agree with her.
Yeah, so that's so I backed the epic all in, knowing full well that of the like 20 characters, 20 figures that we could get, I'll probably end up with about 5 of them myself because the rest of them will get stolen. So
You get to play with them at some point. Just
yeah.
know that they're not yours.
Exactly.
They won't stay in the office exclusively.
They'll live in my office, but they won't belong to me. It'll just it's like a storage office at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, they
So
are.
they
are sturdy. They are absolutely sturdy and hand candy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question. Oh, there was a question in there about like teasing potential story aspects. So I think it was Jeff saying he likes the sci-fi and the cyborgs. And at Legion's Con, you all unveiled the Void.
Right.
And in this Kickstarter, right there on the screen, you'll see in the middle, there's a fox with a cyborg arm. Is there, Jason, as a creator, is there anything you want to sort of tease about the sci-fi aspects with as the story unfolds and maybe in your head where things could go?
You know, in the first story arc, we had a relatively condensed area that the story was taking place in. In the second story arc, we're going to be dealing with, you know, the pirates. The pirate guild controls the trade routes, and they essentially, you know, are ferrying across every kind of goods you could think of. They, you know, they move across, you know, high value dignitaries and stuff like that. And every once in a while, they kind of come across some tech that they might want to keep for themselves. So we're starting to slowly introduce more and more tech as we go into the second story arc. And, you know, people that have read the first couple of issues will understand where that tech is coming from. But, you know, we highly recommend that you do read the comic book. Everything will make sense once you start to kind of, especially after the first issue, it addresses what, you know, it kind of sets up the our sandbox, or so to speak. And then it allows everyone to be like, okay, this is, you know, tech that's been adapted from such and such. And, you know, being able to slowly introduce those now that the second story arc's underway is really cool.
There's a weird, like it's hard because within the lore, like people see these humanoid animals and sort of have an impression of what they are. But the problem is, without sort of giving away the big twist in issue 1 of the comic book, they're not, like, right off the jump, they're not exactly what you think they are, which is why the comic book is so integral. It's also why they don't have tails, just so that anybody.
Yeah. There is a sort of motion comic kind of treatment that we did for AWOK Talk. That is a key.
Y'all did an amazing job of that. That just blew me away.
Thank you. That was a key piece of issue number 1, page 7. I always refer to it as a page 7 spread. That blew my mind because it really does break down what this world is about. And I don't want to, you know, I don't think it makes sense to share here fully what happens, but I'll just say
but
that
you have that episode up, right? And just
it's
whose
up.
channel is that on again? Just remind us.
That's on mine, Brick Something, and you can actually just do a search for the Kingdom Chronicles, AWOK Kingdom Chronicles, and it'll take you right to that one. It's a pivotal. It sets up the story. Really, it is not the story that you would assume. It puts our hero on the journey. It opens up the world for some intense conflict, and potentially explains why this fox has a dope robot arm. So
and big guns when other people have swords.
Yeah, right.
That's a great option to fill your hour in between this podcast and the Saturday Day Live. That'll be
absolutely.
It's super tiny. It's like a couple of minutes, but like the reason I wanted to do it, honestly, aside from like teasing opening up the lore and helping people get into it, because on the one hand, yes, you could get the comic book. On the other hand, like, it wasn't super apparent to people that it existed or like how to. So that was just to help push that along. But also, selfishly, it's proof of concept that, like, damn, this would make for a good animated show with voice acting.
Exactly.
And
we're trying to set up story arcs in the way that we're trying to set them up to where each story arc could essentially be a season of the cartoon. And you know, I imagine there would be filler episodes where there's a little bit more character development, and I think it's pretty typical with. I hate to say filler, but like people tend to think of like character development episodes as a filler episode. But I actually quite enjoy, you know, episodes that explain, you know, a little bit more about characters that might not necessarily, you know, share the spotlight all the time.
You should hire Kirby Smith to help you with the voices here. The
that's something.
And some
we
of the
do
writing,
need
because I love
voices,
that.
you know?
I think it might have been Kirby Smith too in one of the AWOK group who said that who put the Necromancer.
Yes, that's actually a cool idea. Yeah, that's funny. I like that.
He's a vulture, but you know, it
Right.
works. It still works.
It still works.
We should maybe get back to this. So there's dope lore, and where does there's all these crazy sort of characters that are slowly popping up, like this one, Brutox, the water buffalo. Like, where are these coming from? And again, I did say that the comic book is a solid comic book, not necessarily meant to just, you know, be a vehicle for toys. But if you issue number 1, it's just little like quick panels. You'll see, oh, there's a water buffalo. Oh, there's an elephant. Like, where are those? Where are those figures? And here we are now on the Kickstarter. If we push folks and we get through 380, we could get a water buffalo built on the same buck, the brawler buck, as Hannibal and Kali up there, and Grimes.
Yep.
How freaking cool is that,
dope.
boys and girls?
I love this guy. And then if you keep going down, this is that, right? So that 410,000 mark, which is now the new sort of endpoint per this Kickstarter right now. We've been saying, like, you know, the BC Boys thing in my head, no sleep till Mamba, because we gotta zoom past 410 and get this big old thing. But again, if you've been paying attention, earlier we showed a scaling image, and there was that rhino that was there. There's no rhino reflected here. That's the thing. It's fun to kind of keep watching this campaign, because so many things have been added since the beginning, and it's like, what else is coming? So,
and we've got the elephant at 410. We've got, you know, the rhino coming, the hippo coming. There's what we're calling the epic weapon set, which is the weapon set for like the really big guys, you know, the elephant, the rhino, and the hippo. But you know, but then we've got more planned, you know, like we've still got more in the tank, which is like kind of the crazy part, is that like this unlocks a whole bunch of bucks. Those bucks can be used for other species, other characters. You know, there's so much more that we want to do. And so this Kickstarter is really just helping us expedite that process. And people keep saying, well, when are you going to do this species? What about this? Like, would you ever consider? And it's sort of like, we probably, if you've thought of it, we've probably thought of it. And it's just a matter of sort of getting there.
Right.
You know, we're not doing 60 action figures in a year. We're doing, you know, 8 or 10 or 12 or what have you. So we want to get to all the species. We want absolutely a who's who in the zoo of characters that reflects, you know, everything from the tiniest things like bugs and mice all the way up to the elephants. And people have mentioned, you know, some aquatic stuff. And it's like, well, you know, if the story gets there, if there's enough demand, if there's enough people that get into the line, you name it, it would probably make the list. So
yeah, I've been saying that actually.
The idea
people
is
don't
to
realize,
get people, you know, invested in the brand.
Yep, 100%. I was just going to say that I've been saying that people don't realize, but every AWOK figure's actually been packed with a bunch of AWOK tardigrades, totally to scale. So they're in there. Just,
They're there.
you know,
you probably missed them.
Don't lose them.
I actually
You
examine
need a
every single action figure I
microscope.
ever open with a microscope, and I can actually confirm that you're lying. So
There you go. See, Snopes confirmed.
And then I guess let's do another sort of fun elephant in the room a little bit because at the very end you've been zooming past. There's a note about this thing called fulfill, right? And so
Right.
it would be really great to just sort of address, because I know I've seen people still sort of make side comments every here now and then about like challenges that frankly Spero had in getting the figures out to people the first time around. But it's really important to note that this time around they're working with a third-party fulfillment company, Fullride, who's been doing this forever and can handle logistics, has the infrastructure to do that and the experience, knows how to deal with different, international shipper issues with, so is there anything more you all wanted to say? I know that issue was a little close to home because I know this guy right here got pulled into the fray to help kind of sort things out. What can we do to help dispel all of that talk these days and kind of like nip it in the bud?
You want me to take that one, Jason?
Well, I mean, yeah, please do.
So I am in Canada, and my Kickstarter pledge rewards took a little longer than I would have liked. There was a little bit more difficulty than I would have liked, and as far as fulfillment went, the international stuff was a little bit problematic for Jason and the team. Derek and Sequoia do a great job fulfilling orders from home base, from the headquarters. But ultimately, when the Kickstarter product arrives, everybody wants their order shipped that day, and for two people in a small space, it's just not feasible. And so for that reason, we will be moving fulfillment to Fulfill Right, and that will be for wave. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but for wave 4 going forward, all fulfillment will be done through Fulfill Right, and it effectively, makes it so that we should eliminate kind of all the issues that we've had. We should eliminate some of the weird sort of things about address issues and international duties and taxes and fees and things like that. So the way that it'll work for the Kickstarter, and then going forward, it would be very similar. So if you order going forward through Spero, this will still be through Fulfill Right, and you will place your order. The shipping will be calculated. So shipping for the Kickstarter for United States, Canada, and Mexico is included. For the rest of the world, it will be collected after, like when the product is available to ship. You will get your shipping quote. You will also be given the option to prepay any international taxes and duties, meaning that what you pay will be it. That's the end. UPS won't be knocking at your door. DHL won't send you an invoice. FedEx won't, send you a collections notice saying you didn't pay for whatever. It'll all be done. And they will process everything through their warehouse. And speaking to other small independent companies that have used Fulfill Right was wildly reassuring, because they were saying that, that Fulfill Right could get out hundreds of orders in a day, which is just not something that we're set up for. And that their sort of, rates of sort of bounce back packages or anything like that was effectively zero. So it should be smooth sailing as far as the fulfillment and delivery of your package goes. And I think that was a huge issue for me as somebody who is technically an international backer. The ease of getting these products was something that I really, really pushed for. So.
I do want to acknowledge time. I know some of you might need to go.
Yeah, I actually have to bounce.
We can stay on. The rest of us can stay on for a few more minutes. But Jason, thank you so much for coming on. And
it's been a pleasure. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
Good luck
Cool
with
deal.
The rest of the campaign, dude.
Thank you so much. I hope y'all have a great Easter.
Happy Easter.
See you, Jason.
Bye.
Bye. All right, now that he's gone, let's get started. No, just
Yeah,
kidding.
let's get down to the nitty gritty stuff.
So let me tell you what I don't like about the comic. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually haven't. I'm one who hasn't read it. I need to get my hands on a copy.
There's been a surprising number of people that are like, yeah, I got the first 4 issues. And I've never opened them. I'm sort of like, what are you waiting for? They're so good.
Yeah, I think that's legit. First, if you're just into the toys without that, that's awesome. We just, I just want folks to know, like, yeah, no, these are based on some really, really cool story ideas and a cool world. And for me, that's just great in general. I'm always looking for new things to be into. I love Star Wars. I love, anything else, Avatar: The Last Airbender, all these things that are kind of coming back. But I'm also looking for the new. Jason said that before too, like sort of like for the culture, like it's good to kind of keep pushing things forward and putting new ideas out there. So I'm all about it. And I think what it does is it helps me kind of imagine what we could see eventually in the line. So anyway,
And it's just
that's
fun to read fun stuff.
Yes,
it
is.
is. Art. We're starting to get into a world where like there's far too much well, for one, there's far too much unoriginal stuff out there. And to add to that, there's far too much AI created stuff. And just, it's nice to support and enjoy and just value original quality artwork, at least while we still can.
And not to, I still love, I'm a bit of a sucker. I still love all the Star Wars stuff that's coming out and like all the like Marvel MCU stuff that's coming out. I'm still into it. Like I know that people have criticisms of it. That's fine. I get that. And I still love those, but they're you can tell that they're all through sort of a corporate filter that sort of washes them a little bit, and to sort of be involved with something that just doesn't have that, which isn't to say that it's offensive and rude and whatever, but it's just like, but that Jason is just 100% free to sort of go where he wants with it, and not have to have a mandate of like, okay, well, we need 12 figures, we need 12 action figures, so you need 12 new characters in the comic book. It's like, that's not the way he works. It's not the way he has to work.
Or this element here, the comic book part of stuff, isn't really making us money, so like it's not making our investors money, so we're gonna cut that out because that's the first thing. Like that's corporate stuff.
Yeah, it's quite fun. The opposite. You have Jason saying
the corporate for us is like, no, I was gonna say the corporate for us is just a bunch of friends that are just like, what about this? It's like, that would be awesome.
You don't have,
and that's what I was gonna say.
It's a much different thing when there's like publicly traded company and everything is in service of those investors, and like it's really nice to support independent businesses.
Yeah, and I think just on to put a punctuation at the end of that, it's just, instead of the sort of corporate filtered, you might not get something finished or things get pulled because it's not making money. Here you have Jason saying, yeah, we released those figures. What if we did way more? 4 new figures, 4 new body types. How about 6? How about maybe 7? And so it's kind of it's a fun creative chaos is what it sort of feels like. And that's just not something you wouldn't see in some of these, the sort of aforementioned corporate nerd worlds. Again, I love them too. I'm watching every single thing.
I was watching Force Awakens last night. Like I love it all. And but it is, there's something to just like breathe in and appreciate about something independent.
And that's the beauty, right? Like when I look at a lot of the things that I know the 3 of us here love, like Mythic Legions, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, like that, it's so freeing and it's so exciting. And the one thing I want to point out is we're always talking about how, like, man, the Cabal is such a great community. Folks are really positive, and it's different. Now here's a Star Wars show, and then you've got some people who don't like certain aspects and some people who really like certain, and there's that kind of like, it's almost like sort of eating itself. Same with Avatar. More recently, people weren't happy with the way it was sort of like turned into live action. G.I. Joe constantly, don't give me the retro stuff. I want new. I love the retro stuff. And so with this, it's all like, we really love what the Four Horsemen are doing. Yeah, give us more. Feed me. Well, I love what Jason's doing. Feed me. You know, it's just a very different vibe and certain things that we just kind of don't have to deal with in the same way. Masters of the Universe is the same thing. I love Motu, but it's challenging sometimes to be a Motu fan.
Speaking Moistly says, the elephant is the figure I always wanted, but I don't think the goal will be reached.
Ooh, positive.
We'll see.
Positive. We
We'll
got
see.
this, Moistly.
You know, I don't know. I mean, there was a minute where I thought maybe that might be the case, but I'm optimistically thinking that it's entirely possible that we could get the elephant. I mean, that's.
Let me like point something out here that we touched on earlier, and that is the value of the epic all-in.
Yes.
And so once you hit that threshold and it starts to become this value, like once that value gets bigger and bigger and bigger, as things keep unlocking, there's going to be more of a snowball effect of that epic all-in being purchased. So
I think so too.
It could be on that. It could be like right towards the end where there's this crazy run on epic all-ins, because you have everything all the way up to, you know, the Rhino or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and like at that point, it's this awesome deal, and people are just going to start like buying in on that, and then it's just going to push it ahead toward, yeah,
absolutely. And that's kind of our thinking too, is that there's probably a lot of people that are, you know, maybe they back the standard all in, and they're just sort of tentatively waiting to see how much stuff unlocks. And what we've been saying is, you know, and it's easy for us to spend your money, but you know, if you're leaning towards the epic all in, if the elephant funds, back the epic all in now. It doesn't, you know, your card doesn't get charged until the end of the backer period. Yeah. So you kind of back for what you would love to get in the end. And on, you know, the last day, if the value is not there for you, you can always go back to that all in, or sort of adjust your pledge. That's perfectly fine. You have every right to do that. But, you know, the way to get to the elephant is, you know, in a way, like I'm a very optimistic sort of thinker. I look at these things through a pretty rose tinted lens. I think like I want the epic all in, so I'll back the epic all in now, and sort of worry about it later a little bit. If everybody goes, well, I want the epic all in too, but I'm waiting. It's sort of like, well, what are you waiting for? Because if all these people are waiting for other people to back it, you know, be the impetus that sort of gets us to the elephant is kind of what I'm saying. Because that's what this is kind of all about, you know, and when people back the epic all in, to me, it's sort of like a vote of confidence, and sort of a vote of faith in what Jason's doing and sort of what we're doing with the project. And so we appreciate it. We appreciate every backer, you know, whether it's one figure or an epic all in. But yeah, I think with the epic all in, we specifically, you know, the epic all in price was considerably higher when we set all the initial stretch goals. We set, you know, the initial price for the epic all in was considerably higher. And I said, look, let's make this so that this is the tier to back. It's still expensive, I get that, but let's make it so that the value is like undeniable. So, you know, even if we don't get to the elephant, the epic all in still a pretty good value if we unlock the birds, because you basically get two all-in prices for the epic all-in, and you will sort of double your figures and double everything, so the value is there. But if we can get the elephant and further, then that's when it really becomes, you know, that really great savings.
Bill, I was trying to share something because that to kind of address this point about the concerns about will we get there? And so obviously none of us can predict the future, but being just the person that I am and the way that I handle things, I love data and I love to look at trends. And so I don't know if folks are familiar with Brian Brink, but he tracks these and these crowdfunding things. And so he's done them for HasLabs. You'll see them here. This is on the Geek Dad Life site that They track them all. So like that Hatter Toys is there, Spero, all the HasLabs. And if you start looking at this data regularly, you see there's basically almost like a normal pattern for these things, right? You get this big bump in the beginning, then things sort of peter out. And then as we get to the end, boom. And so what we're looking at here is the chart for this Kickstarter, but also the faint lines are the first Primal Series Kickstarter. And so if we're looking at the trend, like the way that first Kickstarter, that's that faint line in the back, if you can kind of see there. And then the dark red line is the tracking the money for this one. The blue is backers, number of backers or whatever. You'll see there's that general curve, and we do shoot up significantly if this were sort of a normal crowdfunding thing. And so again, what I'm describing here is specifically for the 2 AWOK ones. But if you were to look at the HasLab charts, they're generally that same shape. So all signs would indicate that there should be some level of jump towards the end. And so Mamba is definitely up there, right? This is the bar right here for the Mamba figure. Things moved a lot faster than it had in the past. And we've seen these fun little spikes that are always exciting.
What are those spikes? Like, what was that last one from 17 to 20? What was that?
So
like
good question.
So
yeah, it was the start of all these streams. No, maybe, but also
maybe you were on somebody who had 500,000 subscribers or
yeah,
something.
right.
I don't know.
No, well, part of that one specifically, we do know that that was a reporting from retailers.
Oh, okay, right.
So right now you can pre-order through Big Bad.
Yep.
And you can pre-order through eCollectibles, and all of that actually gets reflected in the campaign. So all of that, if people were wondering if you're backing over there or pre-ordering over there, you're actually still helping the campaign. Right. It's reflected here. Yep. So, and those aren't the only times, right? There's going to be more of those as we go. Just like, HasLabs do that too. Super Sevens did that too with international retailers, popping in. So I don't know. For me, I think there's a lot of reason to believe the possibility of hitting Mamba. All that to say, sorry, it's the claims, evidence, and reasoning. Sorry, that's a teacher joke for me and Bill. But yeah, this is, I don't know. I'm hopeful. And I think we could go. So, I don't know. Data, it's a thing. That's all.
How often do retailers drop their orders in? Or do you update?
Kind of when we lean on them to do it.
Yeah, it's not a schedule.
Right.
We should have set it up so that it was scheduled, but
so you just kind of like you check in when
basically it's like, we should probably see what they've been up to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And if you're curious about the shipping thing, because I know specifically Big Bad is what, $4 for a pile of loot. So I get it. That's a great deal. And again, I'm not trying to discourage people from going to Big Bad because that's a great option. Obviously, they're working with AWOK and Spero. But also, if you consider the savings just on the price of the figures, right? It's $37.99 over there.
About $5.
33 over here. Yep. And then if you're wondering about the shipping piece for the Epic All In, it's $640 to ship at least. For me here in California, it's going to be $690. So that's like, wait, that's a lot. Well, one, it's going to be a sizable box.
Right.
It'll be it'll be at least 2 sizable boxes.
That's right.
Because it's separate
different waves
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's still at $690, a ridiculous deal for what I would be paying for those figures at retail. Again, support the retailers, but consider the Kickstarter.
When did he go from Mambu to Mamba? Was he Mambu before?
Yes, I don't know, and that may get changed back because in the comic book the elephant is called Mambu, but Jason put that one in there with Mamba, and I've yet to get sort of a solid answer. It may go back. Is the answer?
Could be a cool I could see it being fixed. And then, like, as an inside, like, little treat down the road.
Yeah, there could be a second elephant called Mamba.
Mambu, or Mamba, yeah. Mythic Dolphin says, I want the Epic All In, and I know I'm going to want doubles of some things. So last week I added a second epic all in as an add-on. You can always change before the end if everything you want fails to fund. If not everything you want funds. Yeah.
Yep.
Cloud can't back the Kickstarter, but you can if you were like if it's like a financial thing right now, you can sort of backdoor back it through buying on Big Bad, which is what you were just talking about, right?
You can also, I mean, there is the option to, you know, pledge without a reward. You can throw $1 in there, and that'll give you access to the Kickstarter backer kit as well. So, you know, if it's a couple weeks one way or the other, you know, we were talking about it, and I think the goal is to have the backer kit open probably a week or two after the Kickstarter is done. Run it for Kickstarter backers for, you know, 6 weeks or whatever, 8 weeks before we open up pre-orders to non-Kickstarter backers. And
that's a brilliant move.
The backer kit will the backer kit for Kickstarter backers will reflect the pricing in Kickstarter. But then it'll go to retail price once we open it up to the wider audience.
Great idea.
But back to Kickstarter. Don't wait. Don't necessarily wait till the backer kit.
That's a good idea for the folks who are like, should I just?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I can't afford it now. Like I'm gonna, you know, I get paid monthly, and the timing doesn't work out or whatever. And then, you know, you're debating between should I support it through, you know, the retailers, or can I find a way to get access to these cheaper prices like that? That's a good option.
Exactly. And it's you know, we wanted to give people options. We wanted to give people sort of time, especially because, you know, with the unlocks, you know, a lot of times you see the unlocks are sort of like, you know, another reptile, right? Just, oh, we're doing $4. And then the unlocks are sort of like, okay, well, we unlocked the $4. Now let's do more redecos of the same buck. But because we're doing more bucks as the unlock, you know, the unlock goals are in line with what we sort of need financially to unlock that buck. So when people are asking, you know, if the elephant doesn't unlock, what happens to the elephant? And you know, I think we've sort of spoken to that we still have every intention of making it. It would just take considerably longer. So, you know, even if you just want the elephant, you know, the elephant I think is $90. If you only want the elephant, you know, make a pledge without a reward for $90, and then theoretically that $90 goes towards unlocking the elephant. And then when the elephant unlocks, you know, you can add the elephant as your sort of your reward, right? It's complicated, but the Kickstarter money unlocks things. The rest of the money kind of doesn't, in a weird way. It does in the long term, but this is sort of the quickest, like I said, the quickest short-term way to get all these things unlocked.
Yeah. Don't assume one rule. Don't assume it's all going to get unlocked.
Yeah.
And then, I can just wait. It's all going to get unlocked. I'll wait. Don't assume that, because that's pledging the Kickstarter is the way those things get unlocked. So once you start assuming that kind of takes away from that. Yeah. And then the other part of it is pledge, like imagine it is all unlocked, and pledge that much money that you think of all the stuff you want, like pledge as if it's all there. And then if it doesn't hit on the last day or whatever, you can like dial it back or whatever, but at least it's like pushing things forward and hopefully unlocking things. Yeah,
exactly. And that's, you know, everybody, like I said, everybody that's sort of waiting to pledge until the thing gets unlocked, you know, it's sort of counterintuitive because it's not moving the needle towards it being unlocked.
Right.
And as I said, it doesn't charge. I think it charges at like midnight on the day that it ends, which is April 17th, 2 days after you guys get your income tax returns. So
nice timing. Is there an easy way to know the value of the epic all in? We know what it is if everything is unlocked, but would be good to have some sort of tracker, like some sort of scale about like where it is that threshold.
I mean, is there a way? Yeah, there's a way. I can certainly try to fit that into the list of things that I need to get done.
No,
So
there's a way. There's a way I can help with that, because you heard Adam earlier lament being forced to do the math. But
what about Mythic
yeah.
Dolphin? Mythic Dolphin. This is your Tiffany.
Oh,
this is your
already help. Yeah.
No, I
You must have done the
I have all the sort of the rewards. It's just a matter of, like, if I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know how much difference that would make, and so I don't know if it's worth, taking the time to sort of do that, and then where do we put it, and then does that actually necessarily change people's pledges?
I will say that, like, it is a great thing to have. It would be a great thing to have kind of like a little chart handy for all of these live streams that you're doing.
I think we can do it. I mean, like I said, it's just where do we put it so that everybody that wants to see it sees it, because that's the other reality, is that we're doing as many shows as we can so that we're sort of interacting with as many viewers, as many customers and fans and things as we possibly can, to sort of repeat the same things over and over.
Well, that's for the many hands, right? We can get it done, and I think you'll notice on the Kickstarter that's something new with the reptiles. It actually sort of reminds you this is a standard figure, and that's considered $33, and then the rest of them will also reflect that. And then we'll find a way. We definitely want to, because I'm also a fan of that kind of thing. I know specifically here in DorkLair, when you're breaking down, I love those videos every time we get a new wave of Mythic Legions, and you kind of break down all the different options and the price,
all the pieces and everything.
Yeah. Like, that's how my brain works, and it only helps push me over the edge and help me feel better about the money. It's like, no, I swear this is a deal. Bill told me so. So it's like,
I'm curious.
Being able to communicate that, I think, is definitely a goal, and it's something I see value in. That we'll make it happen.
I'm curious where people would want that posted, I guess, is the thing, right? Because there's not really anywhere in the Kickstarter to post it that it would, like, we could.
Yeah, the challenge is it's over on the right hand side where it says Epic Call-In. We can't change that. So, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Post it to social media, maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we could post a weekly. I mean, we could even do. We've only got a couple weeks left, but we could post.
That's the beauty of the streams, right? Like, as Bill said, like, we got a couple of things planned all between now until the end, and it'll get out there. That was, like, honestly, that was the whole inspiration. Two things, really. The inspiration of doing the whole Gather the Tribe, kind of jumping around on different streams, is, in general, like, the way I came into this whole AWOK thing with Adam too. Like, this is the first Kickstarter was there. There were some, people talking about it, but you'd always sort of hear, whether on Facebook or whatever, like, I heard this, where's this information? And, I saw concept art for this, and it was kind of just everywhere. Right. So then I started making videos. Adam before me started making videos, and that's how we met. He's like, hey, you're someone who is actually interested in this thing. And here we are. So then the idea for this Kickstarter kind of saw the same thing happening. There's a lot, as we've covered today.
There's a lot of chaos.
There's a lot to this thing, right? There's a lot of information. There's a lot of new bucks. There's a lot of story to tell to help bring people in. And so the idea is, if we have regular points to kind of check in with different streams and really, like, reach out to different people's audiences, because I definitely watch a lot of ToyTube, but people have their places to go. It's the brand awareness piece too. Even Kickstarter aside, like, we want people to know that Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is a thing, just like Masters of the Universe and G.I. Joe and Star Wars, along all those other things. And so, even if folks aren't necessarily interested, they just hear, oh wait, AWOK, you're talking about AWOK on the G.I. Joe show? Huh? What's that about? Okay, cool. But it's out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's definitely something that we, both of us, are interested in helping out Spero with, and, just getting it out there.
I'm still thinking through that thing of like the running. It doesn't need to be a running tally. It could be one post. I just realized that we could go, if we unlock this, then your value is the, okay, we can do that. That's
like
easy. That's easy.
Of some sort of chart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy.
All right.
Thank you for this session, this brainstorming session.
Yeah.
No, it's actually
funny how
really
many of these
great.
videos we're like, we get one more idea. We're like, you know what? We should do this. We should add this, because everybody's got good ideas, and we had some good ideas, but we're not, we don't have a monopoly on good ideas, unfortunately.
And that's something, when people ask, why do the Kickstarter? This is the type of thing that doing a Kickstarter like encourages and fosters, and like it's like it's like a community kind of like interactive thing when it's a Kickstarter.
Like Jason said, the chameleon, people's reaction to the chameleon blew us away, because it wasn't initially like one of the figures that we were like, this one's gonna really get people. It was like kind of low in terms of what we thought people really wanted. But I think what we've seen with like the chameleon, and I think we will probably see with the elephant, is that it sort of appeals to people that maybe aren't even aware of what Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is. People are like, I really want a chameleon action figure. That's a great animal to have, an anthropomorphized action figure of. And then we're like, oh, and it has articulated eyeballs, and it has a tongue and all this. People are like, what? I need it. So yeah, it's a fun process. It's been sort of fun learning and sort of hearing people's different comments and concerns and what they're most excited about and all that kind of stuff. So
another extra work for you to do, but a great idea to actually also include the retailer cost versus the
yes.
This is something I like to do when I do the Legions things. Is like, what's the retail versus the direct? So
yeah, and we've talked about that. So we can absolutely do more of that.
Like at like because what looking at like a 33 versus a 38 is one thing, but looking at 8 $33 figures versus 8 $35 figures, those totals is a whole other thing, and it just one of those things where some people might not mentally be thinking about it, but when you just put it in front of them, it can be very valuable information.
Yeah, I kind of did the reality is I did the math, like when we did the Epic All-In, I kind of worked out the math for like how much each figure actually would be based on, the $650 price point if we sort of unlocked all of them. And I want to say that like standard figures were like $25 or something like that. Yeah. So it's like $13 off per figure. Don't quote me on that, because that math,
whatever it is, it's
that was weeks ago. It feels like it was months ago, but we can absolutely do a thing. And I think what we'll do, and I will commit to this right now. We will do an update in the Kickstarter with sort of a breakdown with a chart for those numbers, but then we will post it in all of Spero's social media. So the Instagram, the Facebook, and then we'll probably share it in various groups and things like that too. So we'll come up with something that's not difficult. I was just overthinking it, as I've overthought everything.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on. Any other last things you just want to throw out there before we sign off for the day?
Just thank you. Seriously, like again, that's what this thing was designed to do, is to talk to people, let them know what's going on, help kind of clarify some of the chatter that's out there and the confusion, and being here is perfect. And I know this was a special stream, from your schedule. So really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And just, talking with you, like I've seen you do it with Legion stuff. Like a lot of that has also just sort of been, informational and educational along the way, to be like, how do we present this information to people? So thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, like Rick Jones says, pledge early and often. That's it. Get your pledge in now, and we'll worry about the details later. The sooner we can get the elephant unlocked, I think, like you said, Bill, like the sooner that Epic All-In is sort of undeniably a fantastic deal. So we're trying to make sure that everybody's getting a good deal, whether it's one figure or an Epic All-In. But as I said, we're really, really pushing to get more of this stuff unlocked. because we want it just as much as anybody else, right? So
That's actually, yeah, that's it. I want my epic all in to truly be epic. That's like, sure, let me help you guys. Let's do this.
And of course, all of our viewers now should right now make sure, if you are into Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, go subscribe to Brick Something, go subscribe to Highly Articulated. Make sure you are subscribed to those channels. And what's your next stop on the campaign trail of streams?
Good question. So tomorrow we're going to be on this little tiny channel called Brick Something. So actually it's going to be me and Jason doing what I normally do on Sundays is this thing called The News, but it's titled The Needless Ephemeral We Saw, because it's some of it's current, some of it's just like, hey, let's talk about some dorky stuff together.
Yep.
And inevitably we're going to talk a little bit about the updates and some of the new things that are there. And then next week we're recording some pre-recorded stuff. We're going to be working with the Collecting Brothers. And then let's see. Ooh, okay. And then next week we will also be on Between Two Sentinels with Machu Toy and Jay Shot on Wednesday. On Thursday, thinking. Oh, sorry to whoever that is. Thursday. Ooh, painful. I'll come back to it. Friday will be Jason and Wade talking creator action figure. How about this? Furry action figure creators and comic book enthusiasts. That's on Friday nights, Wade Unparalleled Universe stream. So there's a bunch of stuff. Just like we did this week, we put out the week, like, hey, check it out. And then on Monday, there'll be another one for the whole week. So
Looking at this,
I think that's it.
It's Wednesday, the Toy Daddies. Is that the one that you were missing? Or
no,
that's last
was this
week's
past
schedule.
week. Like
that
this
was
whole
last
week,
week. Oh, okay,
and so thank you for I got it. So Wednesday, Between Two Sentinels. Thursday, A Punk with Toys. Oh my gosh, sorry, Lawrence. Yeah, A Punk with Toys at 6:00 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then Friday, Wade Unparalleled Universe. And so that's the schedule for next week, and then again the week after. We'll see.
Sunday, we got 2 on Sunday too, because Jason's going to join us on Monkey Business on my channel, and then we're going to do Geek Dad Life again with Jay Gladfelter.
Nice.
And then
we'll talk about the week again.
And then 14th, we got TKO. I think there's a bunch penciled in. There's a whole bunch. We're doing as many as we can.
Yeah.
Nice. And one last shout out to Hedgehog Action channel. They're going live in 20 minutes. A lot of Mythic Legions talk over there. A lot of toy talk.
Probably going to be talking about his 5-figure pledge reward that he just backed during the stream today.
Nice.
Awesome. It's great to have Hedgehog back.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. And until next time, may the force be with you.
Thanks, everybody.